The lights in the Galactic Federation Council chamber dimmed as the final votes were counted. Ambassador Yoon Ji-won sat alone in the human section, watching the massive holographic display show the results. 847 votes for banishment. 3 votes against. 0 abstentions. The chamber held representatives from over 900 different species. Most of them refused to look at Yoon as the numbers appeared. The few who did meet her eyes showed no emotion at all. After 200 years of membership, humanity was being thrown out of the galaxy's most powerful organization. Chancellor Vextar of the Veltari stood at the center podium. His tall, thin frame cast long shadows as he spoke. The translation device in Yoon's ear turned his telepathic thoughts into words she could understand. The decision is final. The species known as humans have shown aggressive behavior in 3 contested systems. They have refused to surrender ancient artifacts that belong to all Federation members. They have ignored direct orders from this council. Therefore, Earth and all human colonies must evacuate Federation space within 30 standard days. Yoon stood up slowly. Every eye in the chamber turned to her. She had expected this outcome for months, but hearing it made her stomach twist. Around her, the alien representatives whispered among themselves. Some seemed pleased. Others looked uncomfortable. Ambassador Yoon, the Chancellor continued, you may now make your final statement to this council. Yoon walked to the human podium. Her footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. She placed her hands on the speaking platform and looked around the room. These beings had been her colleagues for 15 years. She had shared meals with some of them. She had negotiated treaties and trade agreements. Now they were casting her people into the void. Honorable Chancellor and esteemed council members, she began, her voice steady and clear. I have received your verdict. Humanity accepts your decision to banish us from Federation space. Murmurs filled the chamber. This was not the response they had expected. Usually, condemned species would beg for mercy or demand a new trial. However, Yoon continued, I want to make something clear to this council. You are not banishing us. You are setting us free. The murmurs grew louder. Chancellor, Vextar raised one long arm for silence. For 2 centuries, humans have followed Federation laws. We have paid our taxes. We have served in your military. We have provided food for worlds that could not feed themselves. We have mined resources on planets too dangerous for other species to work. And how have you repaid us? Yoon's voice grew stronger. She was no longer speaking as a diplomat. She was speaking as a human being who had watched her people be treated as second-class citizens for too long. You have given us the worst territories to colonize. You have restricted our military to support roles only. You have limited our trade rights. You have demanded we share every scientific discovery while keeping your own secrets locked away. And when we finally found something valuable, you demanded we hand it over without question. She pulled out a small data pad and held it up. This contains humanity's official response to your banishment. We resign from the Galactic Federation. Effective immediately, we reject your authority over human space, and we withdraw all human personnel from Federation service as of this moment. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives from dozens of species began shouting at once. Some demanded order. Others called for Yoon to be arrested. A few seemed to be arguing among themselves. Chancellor Vextar's telepathic voice cut through, the noise like a knife. Silence! Ambassador Yoon, you cannot simply withdraw from the Federation. Your species lacks the military power to defend itself outside our protection. Yoon smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It was not a pleasant smile. Chancellor, you seem to think we have been sitting idle for the past 50 years. You assume we have been waiting for your permission to grow stronger. You are wrong on both counts. She pressed a button on her datapad. The main display screen in the chamber changed from the voting results to a live feed from Earth's orbit. Massive ships filled the view, not the small cargo vessels or passenger liners the Federation was used to seeing from human space. These were enormous industrial craft, each one the size of a small city. These ships have been under construction for 30 years. They contain manufacturing facilities, hydroponic farms, fusion reactors, and living space for 12 billion humans. They also carry something else. The image zoomed in on one of the ships. Gun ports opened along its hull, revealing weapon systems that made the Federation representatives gasp in recognition. These were not human designs. They were hybrid, technologies that combined human engineering with captured alien weapons. We know you have been planning to remove us from the galaxy for decades. Your intelligence services are not as secret as you think. We have been preparing for this day since we first realized you would never accept us as equals. Admiral Krental of the Thulmaran hegemony stood up in his section. His massive frame was covered in ritual scars that marked him as a veteran of 100 battles. Those weapon designs are stolen from our military archives. You will return them immediately. No, Yoon said simply. We developed these weapons by studying the wreckage of ships that attacked human colonies, ships that you claimed were operated by pirates, but which carried hegemony identification codes. We learned from our enemies because our supposed allies never shared their knowledge. She touched her datapad again. The display showed dozens more fleets in orbit around human colonies throughout Federation space. Each fleet contained hundreds of ships all loaded with people and equipment. By the time I return to Earth, these fleets will already be departing Federation space. We will not wait for your 30-day deadline. We will not beg you to reconsider. We will leave, and we will never return. Where will you go? Asked Counselor Genhari of the Mechanical Collective. Her synthetic voice carried what sounded like genuine curiosity. Beyond Federation space lies only the Outer Rim. No species can survive there for long. That is where you are wrong, Yoon replied. The ancient artifacts you demanded from us are not weapons or treasure. They are star charts and scientific data left by the Forerunners. They show us where to find worlds that your people cannot even imagine. She began walking toward the chamber exit. This council has voted to banish humanity. We thank you for your decision. You have freed us from an organization that never valued our contributions. You have given us permission to find our own destiny among the stars. At the door, she turned back one final time. To any species in this chamber that wishes to join us in true freedom, the coordinates for our departure routes are being broadcast on all channels. To the rest of you, we leave with this message. You have taught us that the galaxy respects only strength. When we meet again, remember that lesson. The door closed behind her with a soft hiss. In the chamber, 900 species sat in stunned silence, realizing they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. Captain Lee Hyun stood on the bridge of the massive ship called New Horizon. Through the viewing windows, he could see Earth growing smaller in the distance. Around his ship, hundreds of other vessels moved in perfect formation. This was the largest evacuation in galactic history, but it did not feel like running away. It felt like going home to a place they had never been. Status report, Lee called to his crew. Commander Kim Daewon looked up from his station. All fleet groups have cleared Earth orbit. Groups 7 through 12 are loading the last civilian transports from the lunar colonies. The industrial ships finished packing the manufacturing equipment an hour ago. Lee nodded. The speed of the departure had surprised even him. They had practiced this evacuation many times in secret, but seeing it actually happen was different. 12 billion humans and their belongings were leaving the only home they had ever known. Any word from the other colonies? Lee asked. Mars base reports full evacuation complete. The Titan mining station is shutting down their operations now. Europa Research Facility is transferring their data files to the science ships. Kim paused and smiled. Oh, and Captain Jang Min-soo says the asteroid belt mining crews grabbed some extra equipment on their way out. They said it was payment for 200 years of hard work. Lee allowed himself a small grin. The mining crews had always been practical people. If they were taking extra equipment, it was because they knew they would need it later. Dr. Park Sumi entered the bridge carrying a data tablet. Her face showed the excitement that came from solving a difficult puzzle. Captain, I have finished analyzing the Forerunner artifacts. The information inside them is incredible. She connected her tablet to the main display screen. Star maps appeared, showing regions of space that no Federation explorer had ever visited. These charts show the location of thousands of habitable worlds beyond the Outer Rim, but more than that, they show the locations of Forerunner technology caches. Lee studied the display. The maps showed not just empty space, but a network of connected systems with resources and technology that could support a growing civilization. How accurate are these charts? I compared them with our long-range sensor data. Every system we can detect matches perfectly with what the Forerunners recorded. The charts are at least 50,000 years old. but they show stellar positions, with incredible precision. Engineer Cho Mira joined them on the bridge. Her hands were covered in machine oil, and she looked tired but satisfied. "Captain, the new FTL drives are working better than we hoped. We can travel 3 times faster than any Federation ship, and we use half the energy doing it." Lee had seen the test results, but hearing it again still amazed him. "How did we manage that?" "We combined human efficiency engineering with alien power systems we found in salvaged wrecks. The Federation species never shared technology with each other, so no one ever tried to create hybrid systems. We did, and the results are better than anything they have." Kim looked up from his communications station. "Captain, we are receiving requests from non-human ships asking to join our convoy." "What kind of ships?" "Mostly civilian transports carrying refugees from different species. Some of them are fleeing political persecution in Federation space. Others are just looking for better opportunities. There are also a few small military escorts that claim they want to defect from Federation service." Lee considered this carefully. The original plan had been to evacuate only humans and their closest alien allies, but turning away people who wanted freedom went against everything they were fighting for. "How many ships are we talking about?" 47 so far, but the number keeps growing. Word is spreading through the Federation communication networks that we are accepting anyone who wants to join us." Dr. Park looked at her data again. "The Forerunner charts show enough resources to support billions of people from many different species. We could easily accommodate the refugees." Lee made his decision. "Open communications to all requesting ships. Tell them they are welcome to join us if they agree to follow Commonwealth laws and contribute to the community effort. Make it clear that we are not running a charity operation. Everyone works, everyone benefits equally." Over the next few hours, the human Exodus fleet grew by over 200 ships. Former Federation citizens from dozens of species joined the convoy. Some brought valuable skills in engineering or medicine. Others brought rare resources or manufacturing equipment. All of them brought stories of frustration with Federation rules and restrictions. Lee walked through the corridors of New Horizon, checking on the civilian sections. Families had set up temporary living spaces in the cargo bays while permanent quarters were being prepared. Children played games while their parents worked on ship maintenance tasks. Despite leaving everything they had ever known, morale seemed surprisingly high. He found Dr. Park in the science laboratory, working with a team of alien researchers who had joined the fleet. They were studying Forerunner technology samples, trying to understand how they worked. "Any breakthroughs?" Lee asked. "Several," Park replied without looking up from her microscope. "The Forerunners used quantum manufacturing techniques that we are just beginning to understand. They could manipulate matter at the atomic level to create materials that are impossible to make with current technology." She showed him a small crystal that seemed to glow with its own light. "This power cell has been producing energy for 50,000 years without any fuel source. If we can learn to manufacture these, we will never need to worry about power shortages again." Lee left the laboratory and went to the ship's observation deck. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see the fleet stretched out across space. Massive colony ships carrying millions of people, industrial vessels loaded with manufacturing equipment, research ships filled with scientists and their experiments, military escorts keeping watch for any Federation pursuit. But most impressive were the supply ships. These vessels carried seeds for growing food, genetic samples for rebuilding ecosystems, and manufacturing templates for building entire cities. The humans had not just prepared to leave Federation space, they had prepared to build a new civilization from nothing. Commander Kim appeared beside him. "Captain, our scouts report that we have reached the edge of Federation space. No Federation ships are following us. It seems they are content to let us go." Lee nodded. "They think we are flying to our deaths in the outer rim. They believe no one can survive out there." "Can we survive out there?" Lee looked at the fleet around them. Humans and aliens working together, sharing knowledge and resources. Ships powered by hybrid technologies that surpassed anything the Federation possessed. Star charts leading to worlds rich with opportunities. "Commander, I think we are about to prove that survival is only the beginning." Scout Captain Jang Min-soo had seen many strange things during his years exploring space, but nothing had prepared him for what lay before his ship now. The planet below seemed to defy the laws of physics. Massive chunks of land floated in the air above the surface, held up by some invisible force. Waterfalls poured from the floating islands into lakes that sparkled with colors that had no names. "Captain Lee, you need to see this," Jang said into his communication device. On the flagship New Horizon, Captain Lee Hyun studied the images coming from the scout ship. 6 months had passed since the human fleet left Federation space, and they had discovered 12 habitable worlds so far. Each one was more incredible than the last. "The atmosphere is breathable," Jang continued. "Gravity is slightly lower than Earth normal. The floating land masses appear to be held up by some kind of energy field that comes from crystals growing in the rock." Dr. Park Sumi appeared on Lee's bridge, carrying her usual collection of data tablets and scientific instruments. "The energy readings from that planet match the power signature of the Forerunner artifacts. Whatever is making those islands float, it is the same technology we found in the ancient ruins." Lee studied the planet more carefully. It was the 15th world they had surveyed in this system, and by far the most promising. The Forerunner star charts had led them here, to a cluster of systems that Federation maps showed as empty space. But the Federation maps were wrong. This region was full of worlds that could support billions of people. "What about the other survey teams?" Lee asked. Commander Kim Daewon consulted his reports. "Team Alpha found a world covered in forests where the trees generate electrical energy. Team Beta discovered an ocean world where the water exists in some kind of quantum state that makes it incredibly rich in minerals. Team Gamma is exploring a world with cities built into mountain ranges. The cities are empty, but the power systems are still running after thousands of years." Lee shook his head in amazement. For 2 centuries, the Federation had told humanity that they were lucky to get the few poor worlds they had been given. Now they had found an entire region of space filled with worlds that were perfect for colonization. "Any signs of current inhabitants?" Lee asked. "None," Kim replied. "All of these worlds show signs of advanced civilizations in the past, but they appear to have been abandoned long ago. The Forerunners left behind their technology, but not their people." Dr. Park looked up from her analysis of the planet's energy readings. "I think I know why. The Forerunner artifacts contain historical records as well as star charts. From what I can translate, they were not a single species. They were an alliance of different peoples, much like what we are building now." She connected her tablet to the main display and showed them ancient images. Beings of different shapes and sizes working together on massive construction projects. Cities that spanned entire continents. Ships that could travel between galaxies in days rather than years. "What happened to them?" Lee asked. "The records are not complete, but it appears they transcended physical existence somehow. They evolved beyond the need for planets or ships or even bodies. But before they left, they prepared these worlds for whoever would come after them." Engineer Cho Mira joined the conversation from her workshop deep in the ship. "Captain, we have finished analyzing the technology samples from the first planet we colonized. The manufacturing systems we found can create materials that are stronger than any known alloy. We have already used them to improve our ship designs." "Show me," Lee said. The main screen changed to show the human colony on the first world they had settled. What had been an empty plain 6 months ago was now a bustling city. But this was not a typical human settlement. The buildings seemed to grow from the ground itself, shaped by Forerunner manufacturing technology. Gardens floated in the air between structures. Transportation tubes carried people and goods through 3-dimensional networks that connected every part of the city. "We are not just building colonies," Cho explained. "We are creating something entirely new. Human engineering combined with Forerunner technology and ideas from all the different species that joined our fleet." Lee watched as the camera showed alien children playing alongside human children in parks that existed in multiple dimensions at the same time. Former Federation citizens worked side by side with humans on projects that would have been impossible under the old system. "How many people have we moved to the surface colonies so far?" Lee asked. 2 billion and growing," Kim replied. "We are establishing new settlements faster than we ever imagined possible. The Forerunner technology makes construction incredibly efficient. A team of 50 people can build a city in a month. A communication signal arrived from the planetary surface." Lee opened the channel and saw the face of Governor Bae Young-sik, the former Federation diplomat who now managed the first colony world. Captain Lee, I have a report that might interest you. We have made contact with other inhabitants of this region. Lee felt his stomach tighten. Hostile contact? No, sir. Quite the opposite. We have encountered several species that call themselves the Wanderer clans. They are peoples who were banished from various parts of the galaxy over the past 1,000 years. They have been surviving in this region by learning to use Forerunner technology. The screen showed images of aliens unlike any Lee had seen before. Some had metallic skin that reflected light in rainbow patterns. Others appeared to be made of living crystal. A few looked almost human except for extra arms or eyes that glowed with inner light. They are offering to share their knowledge with us, Governor Bay continued. In exchange, they want to join our Commonwealth and help us build something better than what they left behind. Dr. Park leaned forward with excitement. This is incredible. These species have been studying Forerunner technology for centuries. They could teach us things that would take us decades to discover on our own. Lee made his decision quickly. Governor, invite their representatives to meet with our leadership council. Commander Kim, prepare quarters for diplomatic guests from multiple species. Dr. Park, get your translation systems ready for languages we have never heard before. Over the following weeks, the human Commonwealth grew beyond anything Lee had imagined when they first left Federation space. The Wanderer clans brought knowledge of advanced sciences and technologies. They also brought stories of freedom and cooperation that inspired everyone in the new alliance. Captain Jiang Minsu returned from his latest scouting mission with the most exciting news yet. Captain, the long-range surveys have found something extraordinary. There are not just dozens of habitable worlds in this region. There are thousands. And beyond this cluster, the Forerunner charts show similar regions extending in all directions. Lee stood on his bridge, looking out at a view that showed construction ships building orbital stations around 3 different worlds simultaneously. In the distance, exploration vessels headed toward star systems that promised even greater discoveries. The Federation had banished humanity to what they thought was empty death space. Instead, they had given them access to the greatest treasure in the galaxy. Admiral Vextar of the Veltari stood in the Federation Command Center, staring at reports that made no sense. 2 years had passed since humanity's banishment, and the galaxy was falling apart. Trade routes that had operated smoothly for centuries were collapsing. Food shortages were spreading across dozens of worlds. Entire star systems were declaring independence and leaving the Federation. How many this week? He asked his aide. 17 systems, sir. They are all citing the human example. They say if humans can survive outside Federation space, then they can too. Vexitar's telepathic abilities let him sense the fear and confusion throughout the command center. Nobody had expected humanity's departure to cause this much damage. The humans had been involved in so many critical operations that removing them had created holes the Federation could not fill. What about the food crisis? Getting worse, sir. Earth provided grain and protein supplements to over 400 worlds. The alternative suppliers cannot meet the demand, and prices have increased by 300%. Vextar turned to the tactical display showing Federation space. Red markers indicated worlds with civil unrest. Yellow markers showed systems requesting emergency aid. Blue markers represented the few remaining stable regions. There was far too much red and yellow. Sir, another officer called out, we are receiving reports of skirmishes between the Krex Empire and the Thulmoran hegemony. Both sides are blaming the other for the supply shortages. This was exactly what Vextar had been afraid of. Without human logistics networks to maintain trade and human diplomats to mediate disputes, the old rivalries between Federation species were resurging. The alliance that had maintained peace for 8 centuries was cracking. Contact the Council leadership, Vextar ordered. Tell them we need to discuss military options. 3 days later, the Federation War Council met in the highest security chamber on the capital world. Representatives from the 3 major military powers sat around a curved table. Vexitar could sense the anger and frustration radiating from each of them. The situation is unacceptable, declared General Krondar of the Thulmoran military. Our trade ships are being attacked by pirates using human-designed weapons. Our colonies are facing food riots. Something must be done. Admiral Jen Kara of the Krex fleet agreed. Our intelligence networks report that humans have established a major civilization in the Outer Rim. They are using advanced technology that surpasses our own capabilities. This represents a direct threat to Federation security. Vextar studied the intelligence reports spread across the table. Spy satellites had detected massive energy signatures from the region where humanity had fled. Long-range sensors showed industrial activity on a scale that seemed impossible for a banished population. "How many humans are we dealing with?" asked Counselor Memtar from the Federation's Science Division. "Our estimates suggest they have established colonies on over 50 worlds. Population appears to be growing rapidly, possibly through recruitment of non-human species." "Recruitment?" General Krondar's voice carried the growl that indicated extreme displeasure among his people. "You mean they are stealing our citizens?" "Not stealing, sir. Our refugee tracking systems show that millions of Federation citizens have voluntarily left to join the human Commonwealth. They are offering full citizenship rights and advanced technology to anyone willing to work for their society." The war. Council fell silent. The idea that Federation citizens would choose to leave for a banished human settlement was difficult to accept. But the evidence was overwhelming. Ship after ship had departed Federation space, carrying people who wanted to join humanity's new alliance. Admiral Genkara activated a holographic display showing the latest intelligence images. These photographs were taken by our most advanced spy drones. "Look at what the humans have built." The images showed cities that defied belief, buildings that seemed to grow from living crystal, transportation networks that moved through the air without any visible support, industrial complexes that processed raw materials using technologies the Federation had never seen. "How is this possible?" Memtar asked. 2 years ago, humans were a minor agricultural species with limited technology. Intelligence suggests they have reverse-engineered advanced technologies from multiple sources. They may also have access to ancient artifacts that we do not understand. Vextar made his decision. "We cannot allow this situation to continue. The human Commonwealth represents a threat to Federation stability. Their example is inspiring rebellion throughout our territory. Their technology could upset the balance of power that has maintained peace for centuries." He stood and addressed the War Council with the authority of his position. "I am authorizing Operation Reclamation. We will assemble the largest military fleet in Federation history. We will travel to the Outer Rim, defeat the human forces, and bring their technology under Federation control." General Krondar smiled, showing the sharp teeth that made his species feared throughout the galaxy. "Finally, a proper military response. How large a fleet are we talking about?" 2,000 ships from all 3 major military powers. Battleships, carriers, assault cruisers, and support vessels. We will demonstrate Federation strength in a way that cannot be ignored or resisted. Over the following months, the Federation assembled the most powerful military force ever created. Ships from across Federation space gathered at staging areas near the border of the Outer Rim. Soldiers from dozens of species trained together for the coming assault. But news of the military buildup leaked to civilian populations. Many Federation citizens began questioning whether war against former allies was the right solution. Protests erupted on several worlds. Some military units reported desertions as soldiers refused to fight against humans who had once served alongside them. In the Commonwealth territories, intelligence networks detected the Federation's preparations long before the fleet was ready to move. Commander Kim Daewon, now Supreme Military Coordinator of Commonwealth Defense, studied the reports with growing concern and excitement. 2,000 ships, he told Captain Lee Hyun during their strategy meeting. They are bringing everything they have. Lee felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. 2 years ago, he had been a simple fleet captain organizing an evacuation. Now he was responsible for protecting billions of people from the most powerful military force in galactic history. "What are our defensive capabilities?" he asked. "Better than they expect," Kim replied with confidence. "We have been using Forerunner manufacturing systems to build our own fleet. Our ships use hybrid technology that combines human engineering with Wanderer clan knowledge and ancient Forerunner designs." Dr. Park Sumi joined the meeting carrying her latest research results. "The quantum weapon systems are ready for deployment. We can disable enemy ships without destroying them, which should allow their crews to surrender safely. How many of their soldiers do you think will actually want to fight against us? Lee asked. Engineer Cho Mira answered from her workshop through the communication system. Intelligence reports suggest that nearly 30% of their forces are having second thoughts about this war. Many of them served with humans in the past. They know we are not the monsters their propaganda describes. Lee looked at the strategic display showing both fleets preparing for battle. The Federation force was larger and had more firepower, but the Commonwealth fleet had advantages the Federation could not imagine. Send a message to Admiral Vextar, Lee decided. Tell him that any Federation ship that surrenders will be welcomed into the Commonwealth. Any that attack will face the consequences. Make it clear that we do not want this war, but we will defend our freedom. The message was sent across all communication channels. Soon, the entire galaxy would know that humanity was ready to fight for the civilization they had built among the stars. The Federation fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of what they believed was empty death space. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, expecting to find desperate human colonies clinging to life on barren worlds. Instead, his sensors detected something that made him question his own equipment. "Report," he commanded his tactical officer. "Sir, we are detecting massive energy signatures from multiple star systems. There appear to be industrial installations, orbital stations, and defensive platforms throughout this region." Vextar studied the sensor readings with growing alarm. The humans were supposed to be refugees barely surviving in hostile territory. These readings suggested a thriving civilization with technology that matched or exceeded Federation capabilities. "How many ships are defending this region?" "We count approximately 2,500 vessels, sir, but their energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases." Before Vextar could respond, his communications officer spoke up. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission on all frequencies. It is from the human leadership." Captain Lee Hyun's face appeared on the main screen. He looked calm and confident, not like a desperate leader facing overwhelming odds. Behind him, the bridge of his ship showed technology that combined familiar human designs with systems the Federation had never seen. "Admiral Vexatar, I am Captain Lee Hyun, elected President of the Commonwealth Council. You have brought an impressive fleet to our territory. I assume you are here to demand our surrender." "The Federation does not negotiate with banished criminals," Vextar replied. "You will return all stolen technology and submit to Federation authority immediately?" Lee smiled without humor. "Admiral, we were banished from Federation space 2 years ago. We left willingly and have built something better than what we left behind. We have no intention of returning to second-class citizenship in your failing empire. Your rebellion ends now. You cannot stand against the combined might of the Federation military." "You are correct that we cannot match your numbers," Lee admitted, "but you have made the same mistake you made when you banished us. You assume that larger means stronger. You assume that older means better. You are about to learn otherwise." The transmission ended. Vextar turned to his fleet commanders. "Begin the assault. Target their orbital installations first, then move to planetary bombardment positions." The Federation fleet advanced in perfect formation. 2,000 ships representing the finest military technology in the galaxy. Battleships that could destroy entire cities with single shots. Carriers launching fighter squadrons that had never known defeat. Assault cruisers loaded with troops ready to occupy human colonies. But as they approached the first Commonwealth defense line, something impossible happened. Commonwealth ships began appearing from nowhere. They did not emerge from hyperspace or decloak from stealth systems. They simply materialized in space as if reality itself was creating them. Within minutes, the 2,500 ships the Federation had detected became 4,000. "How are they doing that?" Vextar demanded. His science officer studied the readings with confusion. "The ships appear to be phasing in and out of normal space-time. It is as if they exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously." Commander Kim Daewon watched the Federation fleet's confusion from his command ship. The Commonwealth had spent 2 years preparing for this battle. Forerunner technology combined with human engineering had produced weapons and defensive systems that Federation scientists could not imagine. "All ships, execute Pattern Alpha," Kim commanded. The Commonwealth fleet moved like a single organism. Ships that had seemed scattered suddenly formed coordinated attack formations. Weapons systems activated that bent the laws of physics. Energy beams that could rewrite matter at the quantum level reached across space to touch Federation vessels. The first Federation ships to be hit did not explode. Instead, they simply stopped working. Their weapons went offline. Their engines shut down. Their life support systems continued operating, but everything else became useless metal drifting in space. "What kind of weapons are those?" General Krondar shouted over the communications link. "They appear to be some form of quantum disruptor," Admiral Jenkara replied from her command ship. "They are disabling our systems without destroying them." Vextar realized with growing horror that the humans were deliberately avoiding casualties. They were not trying to kill Federation soldiers. They were trying to capture them alive. "All ships, focus fire on their command vessels. Maximum firepower." The Federation fleet unleashed its full might against the Commonwealth forces. Energy, weapons that could crack planets focused on Commonwealth ships. But the attacks seemed to have no effect. The Commonwealth vessels shimmered and became translucent, allowing the energy beams to pass through them harmlessly. Dr. Park Sumi monitored the battle from her research ship, coordinating the quantum defense systems. Temporal phase shifts are working perfectly. Their weapons cannot hit targets that exist partially outside normal time. Engineer Cho Mira's voice came through the communications system from her manufacturing ship. "Quantum disruptors are operating at full efficiency. We have disabled 400 Federation vessels with 0 casualties on either side." The battle continued for 6 hours, but the outcome became clear within the first 30 minutes. Federation ships found themselves unable to damage Commonwealth forces while their own vessels were systematically disabled. Entire squadrons drifted helplessly as their crews realized they were completely outmatched. "Sir," the communications officer reported to Vextar, "we are receiving surrender requests from over 300 of our own ships. Denied. Continue the attack." "Admiral, with respect, continuing this battle serves no purpose. Our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses, and they are disabling our fleet without harming our personnel." Captain Yang Minsu led a squadron of Commonwealth fighters through the Federation formation, his weapons targeting the command systems of enemy vessels. His ships moved like ghosts through space, appearing and disappearing at will. "Federation. Flagship. This is Commonwealth Scout Command. Your fleet is defeated. Order your ships to surrender, and we guarantee safe treatment for all personnel." Vextar looked around his bridge at officers who no longer believed in their mission. On the tactical display, most of his fleet showed as disabled or requesting permission to surrender. The few ships still fighting were doing so without hope of victory. "All Federation ships," he announced over the fleet communications, "cease, fire, and prepare for surrender negotiations." The Battle of the Void Gates was over. The Federation's greatest military force had been defeated without losing a single ship on either side. Li Hyun appeared on the communications screen again, but this time he was speaking to the entire galaxy. "To all beings in Federation space and beyond, the age of rule by fear and force is ending. The Commonwealth offers membership to any species that values freedom, innovation, and cooperation. We do not seek to conquer or dominate. We seek to build something better." Over the following months, the galaxy watched in amazement as 47 Federation worlds declared independence and requested Commonwealth membership. 12 alien species formally abandoned the Federation to join humanity's alliance. The Wanderer. Clans emerged from hiding to unite under the Commonwealth banner. 5 years later, Captain Li Hyun, now president of the Commonwealth Council, stood in his office looking out at a view of New Geneva, the Commonwealth capital. The city floated in space between 3 worlds, connected to each by quantum transportation networks. Ships from hundreds of different species came and went constantly, carrying trade goods and cultural exchanges. Commander Kim Daewon entered with the latest reports. The former Federation now controls less than 40% of its original territory. Most of their military has either joined us or gone home to defend their own worlds. Any word from Earth? The planet has been restored to its natural state. Most of the population moved to the new worlds, but about 1 million people chose to stay and maintain the home world as a historical preserve. Dr. Park Sumi appeared in the doorway, carrying her perpetual collection of research tablets. "President Lee, our deep space sensors have detected something extraordinary. We are receiving signals from another galaxy cluster. The patterns match Forerunner communication protocols." Lee turned to face his old friends and colleagues. the people who had helped him lead humanity from banishment to galactic leadership. It seems our greatest adventures are still ahead of us. He looked back out the window at the bustling capital of a civilization built on freedom and cooperation rather than dominance and fear. The galaxy had decided to banish Earth. In doing so, they had freed humanity to become what they were, always meant to be.